Welcome to The Painting Coach. I'm Lloyd, and this is a video I'm very, very excited about. Now, this is something I've wanted to do for about 20 years. I got into Warhammer around the time of 3rd edition, which, if you remember it, was when you had the Black Templars and the new, at the time, Dark Eldar, now known as Drukhari. And that was a great kit that really captured my imagination. But it wasn't until 2004, when I was at university, and the Dawn of War RTS game came out on PC. I absolutely love that game. And I really, really, really wanted to be able to produce some of those things on the tabletop. So when I saw this Kickstarter for Dawn of War style terrain, I just had to back it. There was just one problem. I didn't have a printer that could actually cover all of the things I needed it to do. And luckily enough, that's where this video sponsor, Ankermake, come in. Ankermake very generously reached out and asked if I would do a review of their M5C printer, and of course I said yes. So I was really excited to get this printer and see if it could give me what I wanted in terms of printing this Dawn of War terrain. So let's have a look what's in the box, and then let's see how it prints. So let's have a look at what's in the box. First up, we've got the build instructions and the assembly guide. Now, these are really easy to follow as you work in your way through it. But if you do have any issues, there are some videos and helpful walkthrough pictures on the website, which I checked out just in case to make sure I hadn't missed anything. Getting into the foam packaging then, you can see the first layer. Now, first up, we've got a very handy toolkit. The kit has got a spare nozzle, a spanner, some Allen keys that you'll need to put it together, some sharp nippers to cut your filament, and also a hex tool for taking out those nozzles. They do get really, really hot, so it's important to use that. In terms of the nuts and bolts, I've got everything I need. I've got UK and EU power cables as well. And the last thing we've got at the top of the box is the filament stand, and this attaches to the back of the machine. So you just loop your filament on there and pop it into the tubes. On to the next layer, and we've got the mount for the nozzle, and this is a really hefty piece of kit. I also really, really like the blue steel effect that they've gone for on this. It looks really, really fantastic. And once this is screwed in, this is not going anywhere. Once we get down to the next layer, and it is worth noting the amount of foam in this box, your machine is going to be very, very well protected. We can see the build plate there. So by removing this next layer, we can see that this is a nice magnetic build plate. It's also flexible. That's going to be really helpful when it comes to actually taking your models off the build plate as well. It means there's going to be very little cleanup. And we can see the base as well, which is where all your power goes and everything gets plugged into. So that's what's in the box. Let's have a look at setting this up. Setup is pretty straightforward. You just plug the mount into the base, and then you screw it in with the Allen keys and the hex screws that you're provided. Now, my fingers are a little bit fatter than the average person's, I think. So I did drop a couple of screws, but this is very, very straightforward and easy. And once that's done, you just plug the electronics into the relevant port, and you can't go wrong with this. It's all set up to make sure it is as idiot-proof as possible. Once that's done, it's a case of plugging the electronics into the back, and then finally we're looking to mount the filament on the top. And this is all very easy and very straightforward. This took me less than 10 minutes to put together, which for someone who is not particularly savvy when it comes to tech, I was really, really impressed with that. Next up, before you can do anything, you need to connect the printer to the app, and you can see me doing this on my phone here. Now, I've not done this before. It's really easy and really intuitive. All I'm doing is just following the instructions on the screen to pair my app and the printer. It's really, really easy. I'm going to connect them over my Wi-Fi network, and then once I've done that and it's connected, you may need to upgrade the firmware. So if you do, just let it download and update itself. Once you've carried out that update, it's time to level the printer. Now, for a beginner like me, this is absolutely perfect because I don't have to worry about adjusting little corners to get this flat. The printer auto levels itself. All you do is go into the app, scroll up, press the button, tells you how long it's going to take, and you leave it do its thing until you're ready to go. So now that the printer is set up, we need to do a test print. And for the test print, I wanted to showcase the super, super fast printing speed of the machine. And I'm going to use the Benchy ship model, which is like the industry standard. So I'm going to do this within the Ankermake app. Again, really easy, really straightforward. You just open up the app, you click on the Explore button, and this will take you to all the options you've got, and you're on the Make It Real platform from Ankermake, which is great. You can see there's lots of different options on here, and everything on here is preloaded with settings. So you just click it, download it, hit print, and off it goes to the machine. While we're here and talking about the Make It Real platform, I think it's really interesting to go in and have a look at what's on there. The thing that really caught my eye was this city print. So I'm going to have a little look at that. So we go to start creating, I assume. Now we've got lots of different cities. Now, I live in the UK, so I guess London is the closest city to me. And we've got different frame sizes. So if I click this 54 by 36 centimetre frame, let's move around. So we've got Waterloo Station there by the looks of it. We've got Westminster and the Palace of Westminster. And we've also got the London Eye is around here somewhere as well. So let's click preview and see what we get with that. Oh, there we go. Wow, look at that. That's a 3D relief of London. That's pretty cool. So yeah, you've got the London Eye there. You've got Waterloo Station here, and the Houses of Parliament there. And that's pretty funky. That's pretty cool. It's completely free to use. You just download it and print away. This literally cannot be any easier or any simpler. So whilst the Benchy powers through, I thought it'd be a good time to have a little look at some of the specs of the machine. Now, this is being printed, like I said, in super fast mode, which is 500 millimeters per second. And this is going really, really rapidly. Now, as I've already mentioned, this machine is absolutely perfect for beginners, in particular me, because when it comes to tech, I am not the most savvy person. So I've got this set up and running probably in about 15 minutes max. Now, that's really, really cool. And it means I'm playing with my new toy really, really quickly. I'm just really excited for the rest of the video. I'm really excited for the rest of the terrain and the possibilities of things I can print outside of this video and the review as well. So this Benchy has printed in about 17 minutes. Now, as I look at it in my hand, I can see it's a little bit rough around the edges, but you can certainly see the general shape. And if you need to print stuff fast, for example, if you're prototyping, you just want to see how something looks, this really, really is the way to go. But for 17 minutes, I can't complain. So you can smooth it down with a little bit of a file if you want as well. Now, I also printed something else, and I printed this just on the normal settings to see what the machine quality was like. And it's this articulated shark. And again, this is from the app. One-click printing, off I go. And this printed in a couple of hours, straight on the print bed, but it prints all the articulation and all the joins. This is really, really cool. My nephew is going to absolutely love this because he loves sharks, and this is really, really funky. It's something different that we can do with this machine. All right, it's time for the main event. So let's get this Space Marine Stronghold printed. I need to open up the Ankermake app on my PC where I've got everything stored. And then it's time to open it and add it to the slicer. Now you can see it's a little bit big for the build plate. So what I need to do is just rotate it slightly, hit auto arrange, and that makes sure that it fits onto the pad. Fantastic. Now, once I've done that, let's have a look at some of the settings. So I'm using the 0.4mm nozzle. I'm going to be printing this on normal mode. I'm going to be printing it with a 0.2mm layer height. So all I do is click slice. That'll take a few seconds. And once the slicing is finished, you get the option to hit print. You can see that this print is going to take quite a few hours to do. Hit the print button, the printer will warm up, and it'll start printing. So let's have a look at a time lapse of the Stronghold. So my thoughts so far on the printer are really, really positive. Building was really easy. Printing my first model was really easy. I've had no issues. I've had no failures. I've literally turned up. I've opened the app and printed something, which was great. I've opened the slicer on my PC. I've brought in a third-party model. This seems to be printing really, really well as well. So yeah, let's have a look at what the print quality is like. So with the back end printed, it's time to get the front end printed. Now this is a quicker print because it's not as long, it's not as wide, and it's not as tall. So it's obviously not going to take quite as long to print, but it's still a decent amount of time that this is going to take. So it's really nice, again, watching it all come together and thinking about how this is going to look amazing on the tabletop. So now that we've got the Stronghold printed, let's have a look at it. This is really fantastic and looks really, really good at first glance. Now, that 0.2 layer height does mean that there are some layer lines over it. So if you wanted to, you can go in and you can sand those down, or you can use other methods to try and smooth it if you want. I'm not too concerned with that because I think for something that's going to be on the tabletop and you're going to be looking at from about, 3 to 6 foot away, it's going to look really, really good and it's absolutely fine. That being said, I do want to play with the printer settings and see if we can get something a little bit more refined. So the other options my patrons chose was the power generator. So we're going to run the power generator on the printer. We're going to keep that 0.4mm nozzle, but we're going to go for precision mode next, and we're going to lower the layer height to 0.12mm. So this is going to be a lot crisper in terms of some of the detail that comes out. It's going to take longer to print because obviously there's more layers going into it, but I'm really excited to see what this looks like when it comes off. So that power generator looks fantastic. Just looking at it and running my finger over it, it's a much smoother print than the Stronghold was. And that's because obviously we had a play with some of the layer settings, which is really, really important to do as you get used to your machine and understanding how it works. But there's one more setting that we need to play with, and that involves changing the nozzle. So we're going to change the nozzle to a 0.2mm nozzle. We're going to print a listening post, which is the smallest file in the pack, and that's because we haven't got as much time as we'd like to print this. And we're also going to lower the layer height down to 0.05mm, which is what I'd print if I was printing with my resin printer. So I'm really excited to see what kind of results we get and how smooth and how much detail this retains at this precision level. So this print took a lot longer to come off because of all those extra layers, but I have to say I'm really impressed with the quality. There are hardly any layer lines, and this is very nice and smooth. Now, the detail isn't as crisp as perhaps a resin computer on some of these screens, but it is certainly passable. You can certainly paint it, and this is going to look great once it's all done up. I'm really, really impressed with how well this has actually come out. Now, you did get a little bit of flash and spindly bits on the model as well. I was a bit worried that they would actually take some of the detail away, but they pull off really easily, and they don't leave any marks or anything like that. So I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. That precision setting and that 0.2mm nozzle works really, really well. So to paint these models, I wanted to do it really, really quickly because I'm really keen to see what they look like on the tabletop. So I thought rather than going for the traditional layer painting, I'm going to use spray cans. So this can be a little bit messy, so I am going to do it outside. And essentially what I'm looking to do is just paint big blocks of colour, use some masking tape to make sure that I cover off areas I've already finished. And then, hey presto, we're away. We've got something that we can pop on the tabletop and will look fantastic to the eye. So I started off by spraying some Sunset Yellow primer from Colourforge onto those bits that are going to be mainly yellow. And then I put some masking tape over them and took some black spray paint to prime the rest of the model. Now, at this point, all my best intentions were undone by the Welsh weather. So I wasn't able to spray outside, so I had to come back inside. So I just thought, let's use the airbrush and see how quickly we can do these. And the answer was actually really quite quickly. So the first thing I did was take some burnt red from Pro Acrylic, which is a really nice kind of dark browny red colour. And I use this to airbrush all of the models, leaving bits that were going to be silver as much as I possibly can, and building this up more towards the top of the model, which were the areas that were going to catch the most light. Now, this gave me lots of nice shadows in the recesses to work with, so it was time to brighten the model up a little bit. And the first thing I did was give everything a light dry brush of Squig Orange from Citadel. Now, I did use a dry brush, but I essentially just pulled this along the edges, and that gave me that nice crisp edge highlight that really made things pop off and stand out when you look at it from a distance. And this red has come out really nice, actually. I was a little bit worried how I was going to get that kind of colour, but this has worked out really well, and I'm really happy with it. So let's have a little look about how we get the rest of the elements painted. The next thing I needed to do was take off all that masking tape, because I'm going to start painting the black elements next, and also I need to paint in those hazard stripes. So this is nice, easy and straightforward. I used some tweezers to just pull the edges. Where I didn't need to use tweezers, I just got in there with my fat fingers. Next up, I needed to paint in all of the elements that are going to be silver. Now, I'm going to dry brush these as well, so I wanted to paint them black to start with. So I made my way across all the models, painting those parts that were going to be silver in black. And when it came to those hazard stripes, now with these particular models, they're actually sculpted on, so it's really easy to see where you need to paint the black. Now, I'm not taking my time with this. I'm just doing this really, really quickly to get the effect that I want. Once all that black was down, I started to dry brush the silver. And the colour I used for this was Iron Warriors, which is a nice dark metal, but suits the aesthetic of these kits very, very nicely. So I just started working this around making sure not to put too much into those recesses and building it up nice and slowly. Now, I did make some mistakes along the way. Some of them didn't look so bad. Some of them I just touched up with a little bit of that burned red from Procryl, just to help things along and just add some of the red back to it. Once I'd finished all of the silver, it was time to do the black colours. Now, there's a few pipes and tubes on the model, but also there's the two main doors. So the first thing I did was dry brush all of it with German grey from AK, which is a really nice dark grey colour. Next up, I took English uniform grey and just focused this a little bit towards the areas that were going to catch the most light. So on the front door here, it's just towards the bottom. And this had a really nice effect on the model. And you build up a fairly nice transition here as well, which again, looks great on the tabletop, and that's what it's all about. So these plasma conduits needed to glow a little bit. So the first step in doing this was spraying them all white. Now I use bold titanium white ink from Liquitex. So again, the key with this is just gradually building it up, because the ink's very thin. If you spray too much in the same area, it's going to run off and leave a little bit of a spider web and a mess. So the first thing I did was build up all of that white on the plasma tubes. Then once that was totally dry, I took some Frost Heart contrast paint and I airbrushed this over the entirety of the tube. And as you can see, this is very, very thin. I then focused it towards the top and the bottom to just darken that blue a little bit. And that was really, really nice in terms of the effect it created to make it look as though there's some life in that plasma. So that is all of the elements painted, and I'm really, really happy with how they've come out. Like I said, the point of this was to get them done really quickly and to get them on the tabletop as quickly as possible and looking really, really good. The plasma generator has turned out great. The listening post was very easy to paint. There were hardly any layer lines in it, so it was great. Again, I'd done the screens the same way I did the plasma, so I sprayed them white and then sprayed them with some Carandra green over it. And the pièce de résistance is this stronghold building. I am so, so happy with how this has turned out. It is fantastic. In my opinion, it looks great. The amount of airflow I've put into it is not huge, but I think I'm going to print another one. I think I'm going to print it on precision mode, and I'm going to give it the absolute full whack in terms of the painting. Wow. I'm really impressed by this machine. It has exceeded my expectations in a way. I always used to think that FDM, you always have loads of layer lines and it's not that sharp. And yet, whilst I've got that on some of the basic print settings, when I refine those print settings, the quality really does go up. So I'm really, really happy. And I can't wait to print the rest of the model so I can have my own Dawn of War style Space Marine stronghold forward attack base that you can attack or defend using your models on the tabletop. The Ankermake machine itself has been fantastic. It is literally plug and play. It took me no time at all to get it set up. The instructions are really, really good. If you struggle, then they've got walkthrough videos on their website. I really can't speak highly enough of the machine. And I'm really, really delighted that Ankermake decided to sponsor this video. So thank you to Ankermake for that. Check out the links in the description and the pinned comment so that you can get your own Ankermake M5C. And I hope to see you next time.